Okay.
So one of the other businesses of Eartha White was the service laundry. And we have a great photo of Eartha White with her employees and her 3 delivery trucks of the service laundry. It was located on Cleveland Street, across the street from what is now John E. Ford Elementary. And the logo, or we could say that her phrase was, "Put your duds in our suds. We wash everything but a dirty conscience." Man, it's amazing. And so Eartha White, she actually kept great records. So we even have her ledger of how she kept track of her sales. And we even have the seals. So Eartha White was a serious business woman, and she was one of the founding members of the Afro American Life Insurance Company and the National Negro Business League with Booker T. Washington, where she was the historian for the organization until she died in 1974. One of the first major projects that Eartha White did was the home for the aged, the old folks home that was built after the fire in Jacksonville in 1900. And it initially was a campaign by the Union Benevolent Association. They had been working for years to raise money to build a home for the elderly African American community. After the fire, Eartha White and Clara White, her adopted mother, led the campaign to build a house. And so this is what you're seeing here with the advertisement. And this old folks home was located out east. Eartha White had at least 20 organizations that helped the community based out east. I have so far calculated that every street out east except Florida Avenue, which I find interesting, had an institution that was run by Eartha White. And here, Eartha White had nationally acclaimed associations and friends. I mentioned the National Negro Business League already, and here's this great picture of Mrs. Margaret Washington, Booker T. Washington's wife, who came to Jacksonville to tour the city and the work that the black women were doing in caring for the poor, disadvantaged, and children. This picture, this is about 1913, I believe, and after Mrs. Washington toured the city over a period of days, she did a lecture at Bethel Baptist Institutional Church to wrap up her visit here in the city. And Mrs. Washington and Booker T. Washington are just two of the many prominent people that you would recognize nationally that were friends and associates of Eartha White. And Dr. Bethune is one of them, Ida B. Wells, of whom I admire greatly, and so on. So she was very powerful here, but she had powerful friends. And this is Clara. Like, many people don't know what Clara looks like. They have never seen a photo of her. Recognition, and I have some other pictures we'll scan in that picture too, so you can see what she looked like. And Clara was a former enslaved woman on the Harrison plantation on Amelia Island. And it was from the work of Clara that the mission stands today. After the Civil War, Clara began feeding people out of her kitchen with a bowl of soup to anybody who was hungry. And she also would look for clothes and try to find them jobs as well. The legacy of the Clara White mission started with Clara English White right after the Civil War. So one of the many things that Eartha White did, in addition to serving the poor and disadvantaged, she loved children. She was an educator. She taught at Stanton, but she also taught at Bayard School in Bayard, Florida. So those of you know, that's out Phillips Highway. So imagine her leaving from out east, because she did have a home at 804 Pippin Street, leaving there to go to Bayard to teach the children in that area. When Eartha White was assigned that school, there actually was no building. So Eartha White led a campaign where she got someone to donate the land, she got someone to donate the material, and she got people to build it. And this is a great photo of her with those children that she taught. In addition to all the other work she did. And these are some of her family members. We'll go into those later because it's such a really interesting story. And we even have her social security number, which I need to cover that back up. It was covered, but I guess over time the air drifted off with the air going. Now, the first black census taker in the state of Florida was Eartha White, and this is her census taker badge right there. You'll also see the National Business League pin, but the badge, Eartha White was the first black census taker in the state of Florida. So Eartha White did a lot of firsts, okay? And as you'll see, this is James Jordan. James Jordan was Eartha White's fiance, who died a month before they were to be married from tuberculosis. Eartha was traveling the world with the Oriental America Opera Company, so she had intended to stop traveling with them anyway because she was coming back to marry James, but he died from tuberculosis. And that may have been why, in addition to the epidemic of tuberculosis, why she had a tuberculosis rest home. Eartha White never got married, and she never had children. So the Clara White mission and the organization itself were the beneficiaries of the work and the properties that she had. Eartha White also loved animals. She helped find the Humane Society here in Jacksonville and the Jacksonville Historical Society in 1929. So Eartha White has just been, she understands the importance of feeding the body and feeding the mind and the soul. And so overall, this is great. I will be here all day. I can talk to you forever, but just want you to see what it looks like, how we set up the parlor. Myself and Lydia Stewart, we redesigned the space to where it looks like now. And our biggest challenge was, how do you tell the story of someone as involved and as powerful and influential as Eartha White without, overdoing it. And so we think we've done a really nice, clean job. And the goal now is to continue to tell the other stories in other forms, just like what we're doing now, just taking advantage of the opportunity to share with you what a impactful person Eartha White was beyond just feeding people every day. That she was an advocate for women's rights, voting rights. She was politically engaged and active, and just an advocate for. She was an early parole officer. There's wonderful stories of her going to court with inmates, potential criminals or alleged criminals, and asking for them to be released into her care, and being granted because her reputation is so great that many convicted felons were actually released to Eartha White, and they all became powerful people in the community. They reformed their life and became an asset to the community, wherein they would have been in Breakford in prison. And so Eartha White was an early parole officer. Before that's a regular state term that we use. Before that even was a thing, Eartha White would advocate for